All right, let's talk about the British grooming gangs. Apparently, everybody's on the bandwagon because Elon Musk says the Pakistanis were involved in grooming gangs and that Pakistanis are a problem. Let's look into that. Let's look into facts versus fiction. First of all, let me remind everyone to look at a report by the UK government on their website. It's ucl.ac.uk. Okay, basically you can just Google. It's easier. Grooming gangs analysis. A new Home Office report admits grooming gangs are not a Muslim problem. This is the Home Office report, which gets its statistics and facts differently than Elon Musk does, because Elon Musk works on racism and hatred. Okay, I have no idea what his angle is on this, but the fact is that the article is saying that the term grooming gang immediately suggests Pakistani heritage Muslim men abusing white girls. But the Home Office researchers now tell us that research has found that group-based offenders are most commonly white. Okay? Now this is from the UK Home Office. If anybody doesn't want to believe it, that means they're just being racist or ignorant, and there's no cure for that. So this is a very powerful modern racial myth that has been exploited by Elon Musk and others. And I have a feeling it has something to do with Israel because Pakistani Muslims in the UK are very strongly against Israel and they're very pro Palestine. So this whole thing is just a cover to put Pakistani Muslims under pressure, okay? Using this racial myth and lies about grooming gangs. So basically, only 3% of all the groomers that were arrested or are involved in this trade were Pakistani Muslims. The whites are 30 times more harmful or involved in grooming in the UK compared to Muslims. Okay, sorry for my camera, it's not adjusted properly. I just had to bring this out because there's a lot of lies being pushed out. The racial stereotype basically gained credence when the Killiam Foundation, QUILLIAM Foundation, a controversial counter extremism group, claimed that 84% of grooming gang offenders were Asian, okay, or Pakistani, that's what they're trying to say. The grooming gangs narrative fed into the agenda of the far right, but it was not there that the issue was racialized. The Labour MP Sarah Champion, for one, wrote a now notorious article in The Sun in 2017 for which she resigned as Shadow Equalities Minister. So the 2 year study by the Home Office, they did a 2 year study. Now you guys, you know how much time that is. 2 years to research a program and come to the conclusion, who's involved in the grooming gang and everything, okay? So, I mean, these are facts. This is not something that I'm creating, okay? The 2 year study by the Home Office makes very clear that there are no grounds for asserting that Muslim or Pakistani heritage men are disproportionately engaged in such crimes. And citing our research, it confirmed the unreliability of the Killian claim. So I'm reading from this website, the UK government website. The horrific and widely reported crimes committed in places such as Rochdale, Oxford, and Telford were real, but racist stereotyping and demonizing deflected from that. So if you want to help those victims, don't turn this into a political, anti-Muslim, Islamophobic, anti-Pakistani campaign, because that means you're not sincere about helping the victims and, getting rid of the crime. You're just here for brownie points. Excuse me. So anyway, I'm gonna skip that, but the claims that grooming gangs were not properly investigated due to political correctness and a fear of being accused of racism are heavily undermined by decades of research highlighting the consistent over policing of minority communities. What's more, the whole history of the UK's response to child sexual exploitation and abuse is littered with failings, as shown by the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse. Operation U-Tree and numerous other investigation inquiries were also regrettable consequences. It's too much, too bright. I'll turn it off. There are also regrettable consequences for child protection. Victims and offenders who don't fit the stereotype can be overlooked. So anyway, I'm not going to read the whole article to you guys, but basically, some members apparently wanted an even greater focus on Pakistani men, hinting at appetite for producing policy-led evidence rather than evidence-led policy. Priti Patel, Home Secretary Priti Patel called the findings disappointing because community and cultural factors are clearly relevant to understanding and tackling offending, implied that with better data collection, including in relation to ethnicity, the findings would have been different. This looks like a last ditch attempt to keep a politically useful trope alive. So she's a Indian Hindu background. So obviously she's disappointed that Muslims were not found to be culprits and liable because of she's making an excuse that you know the community was afraid of tackling offending offending the community, and that's why the data is not. But this is bullshit. The UK government is saying it is time to call off the witch hunt. We need finally to accept what credible research has been telling us for years, that child sexual abuse is not a Muslim problem. Not a Muslim problem, not a Muslim problem, but is endemic to virtually all communities. Look at the numbers. The sheer scale makes the ubiquity of abuse inevitable. An estimated 1 in 13 adults in England has been sexually abused as children. In 2019, 1 in 13 adults in England has been sexually abused as children. In 2019-20, police across the UK recorded more than 75,518 sexual offences against children. And the Home Office review itself reminds us that only around 1 in 10 victims actually disclosed child sexual abuse to an official at the time. So the common denominator is not immigration, race, culture, or Islam. Child sexual abuse is the product of a complex interplay of patriarchy, power, exploitation, opportunity, and disregard for children. If we really want to tackle this issue, we have to stop fixating on the lurid and false distraction of Muslim grooming gangs. We need to address the woeful underfunding of the relevant community, healthcare, and violence against women's services. We need to redress repeated systemic failings that are being neglected. There must be a genuine political commitment to tackle all forms of sexual abuse, and one that prioritizes investment in services in the community. The past decade has shown that too many people in power are insufficiently concerned when sexual abusers are not from Asian or Muslim backgrounds. Their hypocrisy fails victims and damages prevention efforts. So, basically, the fact that people are saying, this is all Muslims, blah, 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 blah. And the other clever trick they use is when they're talking about whites involved in grooming, they call that pedophile. They call them pedophiles. But when Pakistanis are involved or a Muslim involved, they call grooming gangs. Okay, so they want to keep the focus on Pakistanis and Muslims. So you keep hearing these stories of grooming gang, but nobody's talking about the pedophiles. You think the pedophiles went away in England? 30 times, there's a 30 times more chance of being molested, raped, or sexually assaulted by a white person in England than by a Muslim or a Pakistani. 30 times more. You have a 30 times more chance of being molested or raped or getting groomed. Again, grooming, pedophile, they've separated it, so when they talk about grooming, they're hitting on Pakistanis and Muslims. But pedophiles, Elon Musk doesn't care about pedophiles. He doesn't really care about children or thinking. He's more concerned about making a political statement that will get this group, we'll hurt this group, or let's attack this group. The same thing with when that incident happened in Thailand when the kids were, stuck in the caves, and Elon Musk was coming up with all kinds of weird, stupid ideas. And the experts were saying, "What the hell are you talking about, man? Just shut the hell up. Let us do our job." And they finally rescued those children. But in the meantime, Elon Musk got so angry at them, he started calling them pedophiles and weird stuff, which these guys had nothing to do with, as far as I remember. I could be wrong. It's been many years, and back then I didn't really care about Elon Musk or know much about him. I just thought he was like a rich weirdo kind of guy. But anyway, that is it, my friends. So don't believe in all the bullshit. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.